That is working. So today is Friday the third. The no, the 13th. Okay. And as we have been trying mm, since the beginning, Fridays we are trying to do the transmission in English, uh, and this is like not resume. I always confuse those words. What's the word again? Oh, um, well, I'll try to talk about what happened in the week for our foreigners, foreigners, for people that live in other country and that maybe doesn't speak Spanish. So to talk about what we've done here this week. If you know, there is not a blur background because it was taking so much of the capacity of the graphics card, and I know why it's like overloading it. And also I took out the like this thing that was following me because it seems that it wasn't working very well. Also, I tried to have instantaneous translation, but my machine don't seems to be powerful enough. So that's what we have, and that's what we have to do. Um, I'm going to this time maybe I will talk some parts in Spanish just to get the translation done by the cell phone because I acknowledge that my English is not so vast enough to say what I am trying to say. No, I'm almost falling down. Um, what we will be doing today while I'm talking is I'm going to print some t-shirts for little children that are going out of kindergarten. So last year I did uh, the same design for that school, and the parents of the next generation. Okay, as I was saying, I think that my machine is having some trouble. I don't know if it's caused because Windows 11 changed something. I have been having troubles with the drivers and some older programs uh, that suddenly became like not compatible with the new operative system. It's weird because what makes me have more trouble, at least like what took me more time that I'm aware of is the Epson printer driver, which seems weird because I guess that being a so big company and that have so many machines running uh, all the time, I think that they maybe will be more cautious of the drivers that they deliver, but it seems that there is some kind of incompatibility between my printer and between the operating system and the network, and I'm not sure what's happening. So I had to do a lot of workarounds to make it work because it was failing too much, even to the point that the Android app was better than the driver of Windows, which it's kind of, I don't know, it don't supposed to be happening like that because cell phones are a lot more less powerful than computers, and I think that maybe a computer should be working better with this kind of equipment, but it seems that it's not the case. Anyway, last week I tried to um, put it on to, like, give me a second, echar a andar, to get going. I tried to get going the subtitles, but I failed miserably, so I tried again on Saturday and then again on Sunday, and I think that I'm already, no, I'm going to find some way to do that, but like for now I think it's just energy wasted that I should be putting in another place. Then last Sunday I didn't have my um, rehabilitation session because um, I do my sessions in a little pool that a friend, like the godmother of Laura, of Laura. It's weird because I don't know if I should tell his name in Spanish or in English, or what will be um, appropriate. So she have a pool, a swim channel, a swim trail. I don't know what's the name, um, but uh, but currently they are doing some like repairs in their home. So there is the construction workers, and the water is getting pretty dirty because all the dirt and all the dust, because they are working, they are like building a, I'm not sure if I should call it shed, because it's a shed, but it's made with mortar and brick, and it's like more permanent than most home constructions are made in United States. I've seen, I follow a guy that is, what's his, it's like this person that check that everything is built according to the codes. I forget what's the name, but and for most people outside of USA is weird to think how um, houses are built in USA. Um, we use another kind of materials. What I have read that people say is that they choose this kind of construction method because it's faster and is cheaper to build than if they do some other way, like in Europe or here in Latin America, where we build our homes with bricks, but not the kind of bricks that are used in USA. In USA, the bricks are like only for showing. They don't have an structural function. And let me get this away. Um, and here we use the the brick, um, even in older homes, and I mean really older homes like 60, 70, 100 years like old, where we use like stone and mortar to build sturdy homes. Um, I've been like kind of researching. It's not a proper research, but I've been reading about the history of home building in USA. So I guess this custom comes from the very beginning of the country. when they were like getting new settlers, uh, the requirements that you had to uh, be assigned a plot, plot the name, you know, to have some land at your name, is that you had to build at least a log cabin or a wooden cabin. So uh, once you build that and you have it like what's the word, like living in it for a certain time, then the government will assign you a certain amount of land. And you know, there is always ways to like mm, trick the system. So building, give me a second, let me count this. And excuse me for giving you the bad, but I don't have another camera. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 18. 1, 2, 3, 5. Me falta una. Aquí está. 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18. I'm counting because I want to be sure that I'm making the proper amount of, or the proper quantity of t-shirts that were asked, because we normally when we buy the shirts with this company, if you buy plus 12 pieces, you have you get a special price. So we like kind of restock or stock to get a better price. And sometimes there is some shirts that don't belong to the what's called I don't remember that word, that word, to that order. So I have to double check that is the right 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the right item for the order. Um, what I was saying, I was in the log cabin, I guess. Okay, then instead of building a full log cabin, like with the chimney and everything, uh, some people start to build only with um, tablas. Um, I don't know what is the word. I so I was saying I don't have enough vocabulary. Board, like plank. Yeah, they started building with planks instead of full logs. So it's easier and faster built, and you don't have to have so specialized building. You know, to know how to build it, because it's not an easy task to build a log cabin. So if you do that with planks, is easier, and they start to sell these products, and they people well people that owned, like the, how do you call the place where you got the trees into planks and boards and those things? Aserraderos en español, but I don't know the word in English. Um, and they kind of um, start to like standardize the way they process the wood, and since in those times wood were more available than in current times, I guess that it was faster and it was easier and it was cheaper to build. But I mean, we're talking about 200 years ago, and I mean, even uh, engineering knowledge were different. We had um, another kind of materials. We didn't have a lot of materials that we have available easily. You know, um, some years ago, I was reading about Adobe. It's to build with dirt. It's like bricks made with dirt, but they are not put in the oven. You know, it's the soft dirt bricks. And there is another technique called ¿cómo se llama esta madre? I don't remember the name. Sorry. Um, where instead of doing like the dirt or mud bricks, you put two um, wooden like walls, and between them you start to pouring like the earth that you have available in where you live. You know, there is some kinds of earth better to do this than other, but most earth serves its purpose. So you begin with um, a basement like made of rocks, and that is to protect your dirt wall, and you pour and you stomp, pour, stomp, and eventually you will have full walls that are capable of carrying themselves and to carry a weight. You know, if you want to do this like 2 or maybe 3 story stories tall, then it's resistant enough to carry that weight. And you just do like reinforcement with wood, good quality wood, you know, like um, not this soft wood, but you try to get the heavier and like denser wood. I am honestly ignorant on that subject, so I will not be able to say which kind of trees or which kind of wood is better to do that. But then you give that reinforcement, and then you like use it to put on top of this your second floor or maybe your roof. But we are talking about a technology that have maybe 2,000, 3,000 years old, and that is already proven that it works. You know, is yeah, it have to have it's maintained. It requires to have maintenance, but wooden homes also require a lot of maintenance. You know, and I guess that it needs more time to be built. Here in Mexico, what we most commonly do is a technique called uh, reinforced concrete. I'm not sure. Well, you first made your like not basement. Is what did I say? Cimientos. Give me a second. Ah, yeah. You first do your foundations according to the terrain that you are building. So if you are building like, I don't know, here in Querétaro, that there is no earthquakes and there is no tornadoes, and it's kind of friendly for construction, the space. If you choose like a flat place, because there is a lot of like, you know, hills, then it has a lot of terrains have pendient, wait, pendiente. Hmm, we could be doing this like Dora la Exploradora to people that are listening to learn new Spanish words. So the word that I'm looking for is pendiente. Slope. So the terrains have slope. Pendiente means a lot of other things, but in this context, I'm talking about the slope. So as long as you found a place that doesn't have a lot of slope, then there is not so much trouble, because mm, at least nearby where I live, to find like stable enough terrain is kind of easier. You don't have to dig too too deep to have your construction stable. And then on top of your foundations, you do like a structure um, where you use reinforced steel structure, concreto reforzado. No, I don't remember the name. Sorry, but then you make your structure of steel bars, rebars, I think it's called, and then you pour your concrete. Concrete is a mix of Portland cement and sand and rocks of certain size. You know, it depends of what your engineer says is good. And then you pour like the columns and the horizontal columns. It's called traves, but I don't know what's the name in English. Let's see. Traves. Traves con B de burro. Beams. Beam. Ah. not sure. Beam, yeah, it's a beam, but it's not a beam made of wood. It's a beam made of reinforced concrete, and then you like complete your walls with bricks, and on top of that you do in your roof, instead of making a like a, I don't know, temporary roof, you made a roof like with the same technique. You use the rebars and all of that, and then you pour the concrete. And there's been new techniques that made uh, lighter constructions, because these tend to be very very heavy. Um, but you know, it's like derivations of the same technique. And we are having our first century-old like constructions in this technique here in Mexico, that still there. You know, there is also older constructions like um, cathedrals and uh, how do you call the haciendas? Mm. Hacienda is a special kind of farm. Hacienda talks about an organization system, but also about a place. It's a farm, but is the way this farm is organized, which is what differentiates a normal farm than of an hacienda. Give me a second. I'm going. You know, if you were here last week, I presented myself so you can see a face while you are listening to this. Okay, again. So, then to do this thing, well, you have to have uh, specialized workers. You know, the guy that tie the rebars together, and the guy that pours the mix, and the guy that made the calculations. So it needs, I guess, um, like more work but in another way, and it takes some time. But I mean, you can do a house that could be like abandoned for 50 years, and with just a little amount of maintenance you can get it going again, which doesn't happen with these wooden homes. A lot of people of other parts of the world kind of mock of the United States uh, construction homes. They told they are made of cardboard and matchstick matchsticks, and I guess that they are not wrong. You know, and what's worse is that the quality of home building in USA have been declining. I mean, we have new materials, and these new materials should be bringing better quality to the homes, not worse quality. They, I guess, they supposed to be better homes, cheaper homes, but they are like more expensive and badly built, and maybe it's because people don't want to specialize in a certain kind of work, and they are not, I don't know, they don't want to do the physical work that requires these other types of construction. These kind of homes were meant to be built by yourself. That's why you use this kind of materials. But in USA, people don't build, or not all people build their own homes. And okay, give me a second. Seems that a client came. Hola.
Hola, buenas.
¿Qué?
Por un pañalero negro.
Pañal.
Habló Daniela.
Dame un segundito. Lau. Pañal. 85, vale. ¿No te dijo de qué talla es?
Ay, no. Ahorita le pregunto primero.
Sí, se te cayó un billete.
Ah, gracias.
Para sacarlo.
Oye, ¿qué talla es el pañalero? ¿Es negro? Casi el que sea, pero tenía talla 6 meses. Ah, es el más chiquito que tengo.
¿Negro?
Sí, negro. Y me dijeron que costaba 80.
Sí, a ver. We have here like our own stock for the things that we um, sell here, but we also sell for other people that also like personalized clothes for colleagues, and sometimes they came just to buy the blanks, and this is what happened right now. Give me another second. Which volume? Some future, every come. Mira, Talla 6 fue el más chiquito. Yes. Okay. Okay. So, what I've seen is that what is done in the USA is to try to facilitate, to do the things easier, even when with a little more amount of work or technique, you know, to prepare yourself to do what you do, to like keep the bare minimum. I was talking the other day about tools and how tools help us to do more easy the life or the things that we have to do, and also to achieve better quality in the things that we do. But I think that there is still needed the work crowd, you know, to train yourself to do things, to know yourself how to do things, because sometimes like this, you know, these things are made to interconnect cables instead of doing amarres. Give me a second. To tie the cables or the wires, then you just insert them and they like lock themselves. And yes, I guess that sometimes it brings like cleaner installations and prettier installations, but not always they are better than done by hand. And you cannot like depend on you can't think that you will always have like the proper tools to do certain things. You have mm, to fix sometimes with what you have in hand. Improvisar is the word that I'm looking for. Mm, impro, improvisar. Improvise? Okay, I didn't think that that were a word in English. Okay, sometimes you have to improvise, and sometimes you will be working with limited resources, and you have to deal with it. And to do those things with limited resources doesn't mean to do that badly. Uh, doesn't mean that you are going to do them wrong, because things were done before those gadgets exist, and it worked. So if we um, are getting trapped in the, I don't know, the instant reward, like we want everything to be done without an effort, then we will have things that I guess that sometimes won't even worth it, to have a house badly built is to buy problems for next years or decades, if it lasts decades. I was reading that people in USA only live in a house for like 13 or 15 years, and then they move out. So they are building their homes to not last a lot more than that. Um, and I guess that it might be what it might be happening is that these kind of homes are making people just to live a little more time in their homes. They are being forced to move out or to buy a new house. It's not the same in all places, because it's not the same needs of the people who lives in California, or the people who lives in Florida, or the people that lives in Ohio or the Midwest. I don't know which states are there, like the Tornado Alley. And I guess that at the beginning, let's go back again 200 years ago. You built a home with logs, or you built a home with boards, wooden boards, to get the the right of possession of certain amount of land. And maybe that year a tornado passed through and take away what you have built. So you rebuilt another, but with lighter and cheaper materials. And next time a storm came, it's destroyed again. And again and again and again. And you end like forgetting that if you do a proper structure who can withhold or withstand these I don't want to call them disasters, because the disaster is not in the weather, it's in what it left behind, you know. Um, Here in Mexico, we have hurricanes every year in both of our coast, you know, in the Pacific and in the Gulf and in the Caribbean. The Mexican Gulf, please. Um, and it's not like people have to rebuild their house each time that they have some bad weather, you know. Yes, they might lose their things, you know, like their furniture and the refrigerators or the fridge or the car maybe, but it's like the mobile things that are lost. The structure of the house itself remains, so they don't have to spend again in build a place to live. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's not a horrible experience for the people who have to live those things, you know. Like I remember the floods in Tabasco, like almost 10 years ago, where all the people in Villahermosa had their homes full of water. The whole city get underwater, but if the city got underwater is because a lack of planification, a bad planification. The infrastructure wasn't right, wasn't built for the place where uh, it's made, no. And myself as a Mexico City born person, we have like in ourselves the memory of the the earthquakes, the two big last big earthquakes, the 85 and the it was in 17 or it was in 19. I don't remember. I know that they were both in the same day, you know, and it was the 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 recent one wasn't so bad, wasn't so destructive, because people learn that we live in an airport place, that it's part of where we live. We have to deal with it, and we have to prepare ourselves against that. And the buildings that were damaged in this last big earthquake were the ones built prior to 85 and the most newer constructions, because people that were building it and were selling these new buildings, they don't care about people. They just want to be, they just want to make the more money possible. They put cheaper and bad materials in the construction. They ignored all the codes that Mexico City have in their buildings, and it's like these corrupt people, you know. And I'm not gonna say who, but I guess that most people in Mexico know that the blue ones are guilty of not giving people what they are selling, of doing things not by the laws. Because here in Querétaro it's a big trouble also. We are getting full of bad built uh, houses, and have thousands and thousands of houses in stolen land, because they don't even pay the people that owned the um, the right amount, what they deserve, what they didn't pay. They didn't pay the proper price to the people, and they aren't giving these other people that are buying these new homes. Uh, they are selling just mirrors, They are not selling houses. They are selling lifestyle, but lifestyle will not last. They will see that their houses are badly built. They will see that their the maintenance, the expenses that they have to do to live in these new homes, because there is no public transportation, there is no roads, there is no ways to move around there. There is not even stores, you know. And here in Querétaro, they are replicating the system that people in USA are suffering. The suburban kind of community building, you know, they are isolated, they are disconnected between them. So maybe you work here in Centro Sur, but you live like almost in another state, you know, people that live almost in Guanajuato, people that live very far of their workplaces, but they were sold this imagination of luxury, of exclusivity, of like they were something. I don't even say how to say it in Spanish. They were mm, they were cheat. They were scammed because they will not get that exclusivity that they are selling. They will not get that privacy that they are offering. And in some years, all of those community pools will be dry and nobody will be using it. And why I'm telling this? Because it's happened before. Because it happened in other places. Because it's like we don't learn about our previous experiences. And I'm not talking about other countries, I'm talking about here in Mexico. It happened with the social housing programs, you know, but since they are paying like 1.5, 2 millions of Mexican pesos for their home, they think that they think that they are not buying like social homes, you know. It's not different. I'm trying to remember what's the proper term, you know. Social security homes. It's not different that the one that buys Casas Geo. It's a brand of construction, a constructor that it's famous in Mexico because of the bad quality of their buildings. And sadly, it happened with most of the social security homes. The workers should be getting good homes, where to live, where to thrive. Why someone thinks that just because you work with your hands, you don't have the right to be happy, to enjoy your life? Why shouldn't we have the right to have our children grow in a safe space just because we work with our hands? Remember, if you work in an office, you also work with your hands, just a different machine. But you are also a worker. Don't be mischieved by these speeches, because what they are trying to do is to deceive you. They are trying to make you think that you are not affected by these things that only affects the poor people, and you are not poor. You are middle class, so it's not your problem. Even when there is no water in your uh, colony, I don't know what's called in English, in your street or in your block. Even when you have to spend hours in the in going and getting back from your work, hours that are not paid, you know, even when they are part of your work, but they are not taking this in account, and they don't care because they don't have to deal with these things. And I think that maybe we should be we have to be aware of our place, of our situation. We have to be aware of what's happening to ourselves, to where do we belong, because they are trying to strand us from who we are. They are trying to sell us a disguise of ourselves. It's like these funny houses, mirrors, that they are trying to make you think that you are not living what you are living. They are gaslighting you. They are lying in your face. But you also, it's your responsibility, because you have to think about yourself, think about your situation. Think about the place where you are stand, you know. And I'm saying this because it's something that hit me hard in the face when my traumatologist said that there is no possible like surgery to fix what I have, when they say that there is nothing that could be done, and that I will be losing control of not only of my legs, you know, I'll be losing control of my bowels. I will not be able to prevent myself from prevent to being myself, prevent to poop myself, because I will not feel that places in my body anymore, that I will not be able to walk. But even when I can't walk, I will still feel the pain that I'm feeling. Then I have to think about myself in another way, you know. I'm not angry with the people, with the doctors, because I know that they are doing their work as far as they can. And we as humanity, you know, as a whole, we don't have enough knowledge to fix this. And well, that's how things is. So when I see people denying what they are living, denying what is happening to them, then I get angry, because I see that they have the opportunity to do things for themselves. They are wasting opportunity to do things for themselves, and they can. I can't, you know. I don't have that privilege. I don't have that opportunity. But I'm still walking, and I can still move myself, and I can still move my hands. So I'm working to change what I can. It might be or it might not be enough, but it's something that I have to do. And if you have the opportunity to change things for yourself, then do it, because some of us don't have that privilege. See you later.